Crisis Report. It's December 13th, 2024. And a lot of talk about striking Iran's nuclear sites, so it's not good. But we'll see. There's definitely a vacuum going on in the Middle East. More craziness going on with these drone things all over America, and they literally are all over now. I'm not going to get too hot and heavy into it, but there's some posts on it. Trying to cover that over on PrepperNow. One video is blown up for me, so if you want to go check that out, that one's from yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff. It's interesting to say the least. So, I don't know. I think I said it last night. I think they're looking for something. I think they're ours, and I think they're looking for something. I think they're worried that there's something has been planted somewhere, and they're trying to not freak out the public, and they're just going around. They're looking, and good video from Guns Coast to Coast today. I don't know if you're subscribed to him, but I've listened to him for a very long time. Because he's smart and he just doesn't give a crap, which is a nice combo for me. I like that. And he's talking about how, interesting how War of the Worlds started in New Jersey, and that's where all this is going down. At least it started from. But he thinks that the blue beam thing is 20 to 50 years too early for any of that, which, like I said, he's got a hell of a head on his shoulders, so... I tend to listen, so people are hearing what I'm saying too, so that's good. We'll just let that be for now, and we'll keep talking about all this stuff that's going on all over. Is I think people have this false sense of security that things are kind of winding down in different places, and I really wouldn't do that if I were you. There's a lot of talk about putting, air quotes, peacekeepers into Ukraine, but, there's no peace that has been kind of established yet. So France is still going on with a lot of the nuttiness with its government. America is transitioning, and our government is doing everything it can to, destroy things or get it so it's so crappy for Trump that when he comes in that no matter what's going on, he's not going to be able to help us. I don't know. It's sad. It's sad that they would do that. It's sad that but it's just the way they are. These people are not, empowered as statesmen to help anyone. They're just there to do their thing and make their money and put their little agenda in, I guess. So it is what it is. So, yep, America does fall from complacency, Watchmen. You are correct. So, all right, friends, we're going to get started here. We're at the 4-minute mark, like you do. Like to let kids get into the classroom. So I blather on for about 4 minutes. I try to keep everything pretty uniform, so you know. But this one is entitled "Strike Iran's Nuclear Sites?" or whatever the heck. Similar post I've got on YouTube. So this is on the Crisis Report, preppernow.substack.com. Yeah, I just updated the links. They hadn't been updated in years. And let's see, I was kicked off of Patreon in August of 2023. So I needed to update. I saw that. I was like, man, why is Patreon still on here? So I took that off, and I wasn't on Locals yet, so put on Locals. I'm on Subscribestar on Locals, which is a great way to support me. So if you're liking what I'm doing and you're like, hey, I want to kick you a few bucks, those are great places to be because you get some interesting stuff there, and it all basically goes directly towards this, and there's no middleman. I mean, Subscribestar and Locals take a little bit off the top, but, negligible compared to other entities. So, all right, folks. Let's get started. This is your Crisis Report for December 13th, 2024. This one isn't terribly long, but there's a lot of important stuff in it, so here we go. Elon Musk said that the SpaceX headquarters will now officially be in the city of Starbase, Texas. Russian strikes severely damaged Ukrainian power plants. That was a big one today. They're saying that there's going to be even more retaliation by the Russians with the Oreshniks, or the Hazelwood. Kremlin said Friday that its prerequisites for holding peace talks with Ukraine had not yet been met. Speculation over a possible ceasefire mounts ahead of U.S. President-elect Trump coming to power in January, which they're doing everything they can to destroy as much as possible and leave the world as crazy as possible. Scientists warn that a solar superflare that could wipe out satellite and power supplies is overdue. I am excited. I've been gifted from a company. I don't like to do product stuff, but I will if it's something I'm into and I think is going to be good. And I have a company that's gotten me a reverse osmosis water system. And I'm going to be doing a review on it for all my channels. But it's portable, which is not really something that's normal. They're usually permanent. So reverse osmosis gets basically everything out of the water. So it's a water filtration system. Water is incredibly important, and a reverse osmosis water purification system is. I don't know. I was like, all right, I'll do this. So I just got it in the mail, and sometime around Christmas we'll do an unboxing and do the whole thing. But that would be an important thing to have if there's a solar super flare. So the only other product I've ever done was endurance lights. I still have that over my shed, and that solar light, folks, still works every other day, or every day, every other day. It works every day. So it's been a really good thing for me. And then I do JASE case. The JASE case thing is in the description if you ever want to get into JASE. Important to have medicines, but yeah, that's about as product-y, placement-y as I get. Trump considers airstrikes to prevent Iran from building a nuclear weapon. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance has invited Daniel Penny to be his personal guest at the Army-Navy game this weekend. McKinsey is going to pay out $650 million to settle a United States criminal case on opioids. Mysterious flying drone invasion has spread to multiple states as New Jersey residents are suffering alarming symptoms, according to unverified reports received by the Daily Mail. It is estimated that the euro-dollar parity could be achieved within the next 6 months. That would be basically the euro and the dollar are worth the same, which is really kind of strange because the euro is always more. I don't know. It's very interesting. Mysterious drones have recently been spotted over near a U.S. airbase and sensitive industrial sites in Germany. We're going to get more into that. Leaders from Germany, France, Poland, NATO, and other nations are set to meet in Brussels on Wednesday to discuss the possibility of admitting Ukraine into NATO. That's what we call World War III. I mean, like that right there. Like, it's all getting better there. They're calming down. Yeah, we're going to just, bring Ukraine into NATO, which is the whole reason why, if you ask the Russians why they went to war with Ukraine. So you're basically inviting war. So I don't know. It's just, like I was saying the other night, that's one of those ones where people either gloss over it, but this one's kind of a big one. So multiple drones entered airspace at New Jersey Naval Station. It's raining drones. Hallelujah. Xi not coming to his opponent's celebration party. Yes, Xi Jinping has denied the request from Mr. Orange Man Bad to come to his inaugural. Gunfire in Iraqi army base. Al-Anbar province. Sunnis and Shiites were clashing with each other. Another confirmation that Israel and the United States are preparing an attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. President Trump's team is considering military strikes on Iran to stop its nuclear program. According to the Wall Street Journal, military strike option against nuclear facilities is now under more serious review by some members of his transition team. Wonderful. So here's the latest from the SMO. Russia has launched another massive missile strike on Ukraine. This time the strike primarily targeted energy infrastructure. According to official data, 50% of the population will soon be without electricity. Panic and complete chaos was set in Pokrovsky direction. Shersky has removed the commander of the Donetsk Tactical Group from his post due to the failure of defending an entire direction. Small stabilization is expected in Syria. All the main players have divided the country into spheres of influence and will now focus on strengthening their positions. And a missile strike, half the population without light, and the U.S. is going all in. That is your military summary and analysis from the Russian side of things for the 12th or 13th of December, 2024. Representatives of 6 Druze villages in southern Syria request to be annexed to Israel and live under Israeli rule. You will see the partitioning and splitting up of Syria at some point. Ahmed al-Shara, rebel leader, says that a morality police will be established in Syria. Wonderful. Welcome to Afghanistan. Entire Hamadan range is in Israeli hands, both from the formerly Syrian side and the formerly Lebanese side. Israeli defense minister says the peaks of Mount Hermon in Syria have returned to Israeli control in a moving historical moment. Netanyahu and I visited the Golan Heights and saw the peaks of the Syrian Mount Hermon, which returned to our control after 51 years. I ordered the army to prepare to remain on the summit of Mount Hermon throughout the winter. Now they're saying basically forever. Sure that'll go over well. An Egyptian source has dropped a little bit of a bombshell. Egyptian President al-Sisi has reportedly asked Israel for assistance following the collapse of the Syrian army. President's greatest concern is a popular uprising fueled by the shockwaves from Syria, potentially spreading to Egypt, destabilizing the country and threatening his regime's grip on power. Russia-Ukraine war, 8 MiG-31s in the air. If they all launch, this would be the largest Kinjal launch of the war. Ukrainian Air Force says that the hypersonic missiles of the Kinjal type were detected being launched towards western Ukraine. That, of course, was part of that energy strike. Map showing the movement of Russian drones and missiles launched at Ukraine today. Around 200 drones and 91 missiles were launched. That's pretty heavy duty. Gaza. This is the week. This is Amir Sarfati, but he has put it all together in a nice little bow and package. Gaza Strip, non-stop controlled explosions in the Jabalia, Bet Lachaya, Rafah military bases. The sky across the country trembles with the echoes of the explosions. Lebanon, the ceasefire agreement is holding and the amount of fire is decreasing. Same time, IDF forces have begun to withdraw from villages and the Lebanese army has taken their place. Hezbollah is weaker than ever. Sources of income are struggling to recover. In Syria, the regime has changed and Israel has launched a rare operation to eliminate an entire army. Rebel forces are trying to establish their presence while currently ignoring Israel. Druze, on the other hand, are very fearful for their future. Iran, watching from the sidelines and its project falters. Now it's focusing on itself and planning its next steps. Iraq, no sound and no response for the past 2 weeks. Yemen, Houthis continue random firing towards Eilat and the south. Our forces are standing guard in the south, northeast, and doing an outstanding job, according to Amir. And there's word that possibly Israel might go and try and take out Yemen. So we'll see. More on that in a moment. Israel is preparing to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. Times of Israel. Israeli Air Force is preparing to strike Iran's nuclear facilities after knocking out Syria's air defenses. Israeli army believes that after the weakening of Iranian proxy groups in the Middle East and the sharp fall of Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria, there is an opportunity to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. Therefore, the Israeli Air Force continues to increase preparations for such potential strikes. More than 85% of Syria's air defense systems were destroyed in the strikes, giving Israeli aircraft and drones a complete advantage in the air. Unidentified drones sighted over Ramstein Air Base and sensitive industry locations in Germany, according to Reuters. U.S. announces military aid package of $500 million for Ukraine. Huge Russian military convoy drives from areas of Damascus towards Latakia. There are two main Russian bases there. Russians are now in negotiations, likely with Erdogan, to keep those bases for their missions in Africa. Erdogan will use this to put Putin in his pocket again. Yemen's Ansarullah announced that in cooperation with the Islamic resistance in Iraq, they attacked targets in Tel Aviv, Ashkelon, and southern Israel using drones. Alexander Smirnov, an Israeli-American ex-informant accused of falsely claiming that President Joe Biden and his son, Hunter, accepted bribes. Well, he's agreed to plead guilty to federal charges. Kremlin says Trump's statements about the danger of ATACMS missile attacks on Russian territory are fully consistent with Moscow's position. French President Macron has chosen François Bayrou as prime minister. This is the fourth prime minister of 2024. CNN says that the U.S. Secretary of State made an unannounced visit to Iraq. Israeli forces have continued to advance unopposed in Syrian territory, and Israeli tanks advanced to the outskirts of Beit Jan in the Damascus countryside governorate. Nancy Pelosi has been hospitalized while traveling abroad. From what I'm hearing, she broke her hip. Excuse me. China is cutting off drone supplies, critical to Ukraine war. China's escalating conflict with the U.S. over trade is now extending to the drones and have become a vital part of Ukraine's defense. Manufacturers in China recently began limiting the sales to the U.S. and Europe of key components used to build unmanned aerial vehicles, according to multiple people with knowledge of the developments who asked not to be identified discussing sensitive information. The moves are a prelude to broader export restrictions on drone parts that Western officials expect Beijing to enforce in the new year, the people said. Those rules could take the form of license approvals based on the intended use of the components or softer requirements for Chinese companies to notify the government of their shipment plans, according to one of the people. So, last week, of course, they stopped producing germanium and gallium, which are both key components in radars and military tech. Israel fears Assad's fall could embolden protesters in Egypt and Jordan. On the other hand, Muslim Brotherhood may try to exploit the problems in Syria to re-influence the situation in Iraq or in Egypt. And on the other hand, Iran may try to agitate the region and try to take over Jordan or harm the Middle East. He said that Israel was stepping up the construction of a security fence along its frontier with Jordan and was building a new army unit to deploy to eastern border region. Netanyahu said in a message to the Iranian people that peace between Israel and Iran will come sooner than anyone expects. Kind of wondering if he is foreboding. Russia reportedly launched missile strikes on on cities of Ukraine, such as Odessa. An air raid alert has now been declared throughout Ukraine. Russia appears to be preparing to withdraw its S-400 air defense systems from Khmeimim Air Base, Latakia, Syria. Satellite images from this morning and footage from the ground show no launchers deployed with the 911 N6E radar packed and positioned on the apron for loading onto an AN-124. Fighter jets and helicopters remain active at the base, though, for now. President-elect Trump says the Republican Party will use its best efforts to eliminate daylight savings time. Man, your lips to God's ears. I mean, I don't like daylight savings time. I don't think anyone does. So, we'll see. Scientists warn that Earth is overdue for a super flare from the sun that could wipe out satellites and power grids. Got solar? Got anything to keep the lights on? Yeah. I'm going to be getting that stuff. Nancy Pelosi hospitalized in Luxembourg after suffering an injury. What happened? Well, Pelosi tripped going down marble stairs and fractured her hip when she fell. Damage will be repaired with a routine operation. I don't know how old she is, but when you're about her age, she's got to be in her 80s. Hip replacement or hip repair or hip anything can have major problems. So, U.S. extends PrEP Act until 2029, citing a credible risk of a future public health emergency. What do they know? From Rona or a mutated virus in the next 4 years, the PrEP provides legal immunity for jab makers and others. And we just got to love on those people. Trump has demanded answers over mystery U.S. drone sightings. Said, quote, let the public know and now otherwise shoot them down. So, from what I understand, it's not that easy. From what I understand, these things are using a frequency that people cannot detect. According to it's like so low or so high that it doesn't register. They know there's something there, but it doesn't register. Also, there's been talk, this is all from Guns Coast to Coast, but I trust the man. He said there's even like light EMP kind of things going on. People are traveling up or trying to get next to this thing or do something where their cameras and the battery power goes down to nothing, or the whole thing just becomes a brick and turns into nothing. It's got, from what he said, I don't know if this is true, but he's not the kind of guy to BS. The stories he's hearing is these things have very strange capabilities, and I don't know. We'll see. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just reporting what he's saying. Trump demands answers over mystery U.S. drone sightings. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan sent a message to Israel to abandon their dangerous strategy of provocative occupation of Golan Heights region in Syria. Fidan has said if the Netanyahu administration gets a green light from Trump, it will expand its expansionism to include the West Bank. This would also threaten Jordan and Egypt. He also said the entire command of the PKK-YPG must leave the country, even if they are Syrian. Remaining cadres should lay down their weapons. I think Syrians will return in parallel with the stabilization of their country. And he finally added that Syria has a sovereign national government now. They do not recognize YPG or any other power that will reclaim their land. U.S. Embassy in Kiev, acting as a press organ for the government, Kiev says that Russia had targeted not only energy sectors with missiles, but also transportation networks and key facilities across the country without giving any specific examples. Ukrenergo announces countries-wide power outages and consumption restrictions for today due to massive attack on energy facilities. DTEC publishes power cut, they call it stabilization shutdown, schedules for Kiev and Kiev Oblast for December 13th. Russia may attack Ukraine with the Oreshnik missile this weekend. A U.S. National Security Council official told the Financial Times anonymously. As Putin has publicly stated, Russia intends to launch another experimental Oreshnik missile at Ukraine, and it is quite possible that Russia will do so in the coming days, source said on Wednesday. Unknown drones were spotted over a number of sites in Germany, including factories of the defense concern Rheinmetall and the chemical concern BASF, as well as over the American military base Ramstein. Publication Der Spiegel has reported. So it's not just here. Turkish TV discussed allegedly Turkey's leaked future expansion map for 2025. It includes parts of Armenia, Georgia, Greece, Bulgaria, Cyprus, northern parts of Iraq, and Syria, maybe. Well, we'll see. Biden wants to transfer thousands of missiles to Ukraine, CNN has reported. It is also about the transfer of hundreds of thousands of artillery shells and hundreds of armored vehicles in the 5 weeks remaining before the inauguration of Donald Trump on January 20th. In this way, the current U.S. administration hopes to provide Kiev with a solid foundation to prepare for 2025, according to the channel. Germany spent $1 trillion for its energy revamp with the following results. Number one, it cannot assure constant energy supply to its industry and needs to import electricity. Number two, it causes several times more CO2 per kilowatt hour than France. And number three, it's $1 trillion for ruining both its economy and environment. Yes. Moving on. Denmark is offering 27,000 euros to every Syrian who returns to Syria. Austria has offered 1,000 euros as well. There's a couple more countries, I think Sweden or Switzerland, I can't remember. They're basically saying, here's $1,000, get out. So, I don't know. We're full. New al-Qaeda government in Syria calls on Palestinian groups to leave the country. The al-Quds government has called on the Palestinian groups operating in Syria to lay down their weapons, close their training camps, and disband their military units operating in Syria. Turkey invaded northern Syria. Oh, yes. Israel from the south, Turkey from the north. Syria is getting love-handled. Turkish forces are moving towards Kobani, Kurdish-controlled northern Syria. OpenAI whistleblower was found dead in San Francisco. Who could have thought that? Thou shalt not speak out against big tech. But back to the Turkish invasion thing. Well, for now, there is no truth to those reports of a Turkish invasion in northern Syria. So anybody coming out saying, the Turkey's invading, do like they do to me on PrepperNow and go, you don't stupid! We don't, know if that's actually true or not, but as it stands right now, that is conjecture. There is no intel, open source, that shows that there is an actual invasion or anything from Turkey into Syria. More than a dozen extremely violent Israeli airstrikes in Kalamun, Syria, with the aim of destroying the Iranian-made strategic tunnel complexes that were supposed to be storing and launching ballistic missiles in the future. Scientists have issued an urgent warning about lab-created mirror bacteria with the potential to wipe out humanity. So you can add bacteria to your scorecard of things that might potentially wipe us out. Scientists have issued an urgent warning about lab-created mirror bacteria, blah, blah, blah. That's the same one. Yep, that's the same one. So, yeah. Wipe out humanity. Lab-created mirror bacteria. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s lawyer, Aaron Siri, requested that the FDA revoke approval of the polio jabby jab. A government watchdog report reveals that the FBI spied on its own incoming director and future boss, Kash Patel. Just trying to get everybody. California has officially certified its 2024 election results after 2 months. Wow. And this is a Reuters exclusive. Chinese authorities are considering a weaker yuan as Trump trade risks are looming. China's top leaders and policymakers are considering allowing the yuan to weaken in 2025 as they brace for higher U.S. trade tariffs as Donald Trump returns to the White House. Contemplated move reflects China's recognition that it needs bigger economic stimulus to combat Trump's threats of punitive trade measures, people with knowledge on the matter said. Trump said that plans to impose a 10% universal import tax or tariff on 60% on Chinese imports into the United States. IDF awaits a political green light to attack Yemen. Israeli Broadcasting Authority correspondent Itay Blumenthal has reported. For the first time, the Israeli army has advanced towards the Damascus countryside, entering the town of Mughar al-Mir, southwest of the capital, where its soldiers are searching a Syrian military site in the area. Ukrainian UAVs attacked an oil depot in the village of Stalnoy Kon in the Oriol region, according to Russian media. Fuel fire at the facility was confirmed by the governor of the Oriol region, Andrei Klichkov. A drone attacked this oil depot in November 2022, damaging an empty tank. And also air defense systems repelled a UAV attack in the Krasnodar region. Italy has just expressed its readiness to participate in peacekeeping missions in Ukrainian soil if a ceasefire agreement is launched. Military targets in Russia territory are legitimate targets for Ukraine. France will continue to send cruise missiles to Ukraine, French ambassador to Kiev said. Russian wheat supplies to Syria have been suspended over uncertainty about the government and payment delays. Well, following Russian strikes on Ukrainian energy infrastructure, 5 out of 9 Ukrainian reactors have reduced their generation due to problems with external power supply. International Atomic Energy Agency said. Former governor says he saw a large drone above his home 25 miles from Washington, D.C. And who is that, you ask? Well, that's the great state of Maryland's own Larry Hogan, baby. So these links and all of them are here in the Substack if you want to check it all out. As you can see, this is big. Let me show the links. Nope. I got a site with the links and stuff. I cleaned them up, got rid of the Patreon because so. Anyway, folks, that's your crisis report for December 13th, 2024. I feel like one of these days we're going to wake up and the whole lot of everything is going to be completely changed. So we'll just have to see. If you like what we're doing here, please consider becoming a member. Like Texlahoma Girl. It is so awesome to have her back. Or, of course, you can go on to Subscribe, Start, and Locals. Those places are great places to get information. I haven't done a lot today. Today and tomorrow is a busy one for me. Tomorrow's a music day. So I got my side hustle Saturdays, baby. I got a lot of my music going on all day, basically. 2 different bands. Practicing a gig. So, but keeps me busy and it's fun and I love it and it's good for me. So, we'll be doing that. Sunday we'll be back with more. And we will get any of the open source intel here on the Crisis Report, most comprehensive news on YouTube for December 13th, 2024. God bless y'all. We'll see you on the next one.